Yo, welcome back to another episode of Beyond the Algorithm. You see the name on the screen. You already know what time it is. You know what we're here to do. Here to end the gender war. With that being said, we got a story coming out of Virginia, and it's about these kids. So check this out. Let's cook. Let's cook.
Parents voluntarily giving up their kids as they get older, close to being teens or in their teen years. It is a huge problem in Virginia, specifically in our part of the Commonwealth. It's called relief of custody. Hundreds have been filed in just the past 5 years. 10 News investigates what's going on and the group working to find solutions. Thought of basically giving up your kid is,
Wow.
I can't think about that.
Right. I mean, to think of a parent being faced with the decision of how do I keep my younger kids safe? How do I keep myself safe? How do I keep the child, the teenager that I love safe, and feeling like they're failing at that? What a feeling that must be, right? That they feel like they have no choice.
But that's the choice parents are faced with. There's an increase of parents filing for relief of custody. When a parent decides they're unable to take care of their child, they ask the court to relieve them of custody. Typically, the child would then go into foster care. Renee Brown is the CEO and president of DePaul Community Resources. She's part of a group the state put together to try and solve the issue.
They're usually in crisis mode. They have usually tried a lot of different things. They feel like they have no choice. Usually there's a safety issue. They are either afraid of their child, afraid of the choices their child is making.
It's happening in families with limited resources to upper middle class families who have a lot of resources and insurance, and nothing seems to be working.
People don't realize how big of a problem this is, especially here.
In the western part of the state, we have about 20% of the population, but we have probably close to 50% of the relief of custodies.
Eric Reynolds is the director of the Office of Children's Ombudsman, who's also looking for solutions.
What parent would want to be relieved of custody of their own kid? It's highly unusual. But when you look at the situations, when it's grandma, when it's an adoptive family that doesn't have the history of that child, when the foreign adoptions, when they don't have the medical or trauma history of that child, and all of a sudden, things start happening. So you can understand the predicament they're in.
There are some solutions on the table right now, including changes to Virginia policy and legislation. That part of the story is online now on WSLS.com, and you can watch tonight at 6.
So, what you're seeing here is a product of what I've been talking about that comes from the gender war. We'll go ahead and put this up on the screen right here. Look. This is based on Accountable Masculinity Rule number 5 out of this book right here, okay? It says men must exercise sexual discipline to be seen as credible leaders and to maximize their opportunity. The reason why sexual discipline is so important, you hear me harp on it so much, is tied directly to that article, that video that we just watched about the foster kids, because the reason that is important is because sex determines how communities are represented, okay? It determines schools, healthcare outcomes, and it determines institutions. And from college, and in this case, the foster system, right? Sex makes the world. Understand what I'm saying? It makes society. It actually physically, biologically creates the people in society. People make people. This is why, for those of you that follow my content on Facebook, I say low-level learners reproduce with low-level learners and make more low-level learners. You can't make better than yourself unless you got some sort of resources behind that. So when we talk about what's the impact, everybody's talking about, sexual liberation, women's empowerment, feminism this, casual sex that, or whatever. Well, this is the byproduct right here. You're looking at it on the screen. Now there's a whole bunch of people that's working in the education system trying to figure out, how do we deal with these parents who are still dropping their kids off? This is why when people ask my suggestions and they try to book me for coaching consults, and they give me a problem that they like my insight on, you'd have to really get down into the weeds and understand where you come from, how you were raised, what took place in some of your parents' life, their behaviors, their traumas, their unresolved issues, and understand that that's who made you. Yeah, the unhealed version of you that with no therapy and nothing but corporal punishment in the background. So guess what they know how to do? They know how to punish you. They know how to tell, you know what I'm saying? They know how to say, do as I say and not as I do. And when you got disciplinary issues in a child, it's usually reflected in the parent that won't correct their behavior. The children learn their behaviors mostly from nonverbal communication in the environment in which they're raised, right? I think most people with children can agree with that, and most people that are functioning adults can understand that as well. You know what I'm saying? So even with the imagery up on the screen right now, you could tell how this goes. It ain't that many different ways that you can get that different outcomes in your life by being sexually undisciplined. Sexual discipline is freedom, it's repentance, it's everything that gives you clear channel to think and make a logical decision. When you're not thinking what you meet, you can meet the person you're supposed to meet. So think about that as you like, share, and subscribe. And thank you for joining another episode of Beyond the Algorithm. I'm your boy, Victor Vincent. Let's cook. And matter of fact, go cop the book. Go cop the book. It's on Amazon. I'll let your boy.